And then Fish is back, season 2. The one's for you, Tierney. Just before we tore into tonight's episode, Stevie's going to give our sponsors a shout.
What? That's
Jordan,
a Jordan
it's Jordan's job, right, Jordan, go for it.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Allied Maritime Solutions, my good pal Aaron Boyd. They're big in the maritime sector. Any jobs you need doing, from safety to cleaning, get in touch with them. We'll put the link in the bio after us. Big
shout out to McGowan's Fitness as well, still doing his stuff for the community. So with it any further ado, we'll introduce tonight's guest. I'm excited for this one. Tonight's guest is starred in Outlander, Kajaki, Angel Share, Train Spotting too. Most importantly, I think it's most importantly for the West of Scotland. And I think it genuinely hits home. It puts a lot of light on, which is something that's took too serious nowadays, is singing I'm No a Billy, He's a Tim. It's Scott Kyle. How you doing, Scott?
All right, gents. I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, brilliant to have you. It really is. I think I'd say it's probably one of Scotland's own. It's I'm going to put my hands up and say I don't watch Outlander. It's not my thing, but it's your thing, isn't it, Stevie?
Fucking brilliant, man. Like, I came here in a kilt today because every time I've seen this guy's in a kilt. I'm not Billy, he's a Tim, kilt, Outlander, kilt. So here it is, the troops.
What about, can we see your traditional Scottish underwear?
Obviously you're not wearing underneath, are you?
Aye, let's see.
I had to. I can't. Is it there? Can you see them? Fire! I had to, but I don't know how to go about the old swinging about, but
to be honest, I was disappointed you two didn't make an effort.
see, it's appreciated.
I seen the bare legs getting out the van outside and I thought, they've all wore kilts.
He told me when he up you were wearing a kilt and I was like, no, he's not, he can't be, man.
You've not got legs for it either as well, but fair play.
Do you know what? I haven't got the legs for it, but do you know what? The fucking day.
Before we get into a wee bit of your story, Scott, or where you're going kind of thing, it's how's things in general, how's mental health? Because obviously we do this for mental health, but it's not solely for mental health. But how's things with you? Are you good?
I think I'm alright, but that's a lot to do with the kind of support network around the place. I've got a really good way. I mean, I've been with my wife 24 years, been with her since I was 16, so and she's been through all the highs and lows. A lot of actors struggle with mental health because you get the massive high of being a movie star, and then the next day you're looking for a job. Do you know what I mean? So you're literally on a red carpet, you know, kind of. Sometimes you see it on the talk shows where people are talking about a show that they maybe filmed a year ago, and you can see that they're not that interested in that movie because they've been paid for it and it's not paying the bills anymore, but they have to go in and that's part of the contract. So mental health can be a big one. I've got a lot of mates that are on the phone sometimes, and I think because I work in the industry as well, I work in the theatres as well during the day, so I programme the shows and that stuff, so I've got a good understanding of when there is work happening and when there's no. So you don't, there's a lot of guys that don't know what's going on and they're sitting going, why am I not getting a phone call? And I'm going, there's not that many stuff getting made now, it's quiet. The writers' strike, that had a big impact on our industry. So, but I think I do a lot of other things that keep me busy. It's no, my sole kind of income and stuff isn't just acting, and it's not my whole focus isn't that either. I think that's healthy, because if you're waiting on a phone call all the time, do you know what I mean? Your whole life's in it. I've got some mates that don't have mortgages and that, and they're sitting at 40, sitting going, I thought I'd be a movie star by now. You know,
it's just, there's a lot of pressure in the kind of the performing arts industry. It's like you're constantly, as you say, you're constantly under pressure. You don't know if what's there, you don't know how long what's going to be, unless you're obviously cutting about in Hollywood. It's like life in general, there's just pressure, and then you've got your pressure on top of that. Do you think that's like, is it hard to keep going in that industry?
I think there's like a lot of I look at acting as storytelling, right? I don't really look at it as acting and pretending, in a sense. I like there's a story to be told, and I love storytelling. I think Glaswegians and working class people are some of the best storytellers in the world, and I've always looked at it like that. But I think the industry can give you your 15 minutes of fame and build you right up, and if you don't go into it with the right mindset of understanding that there will be a dip after this, then when that dip comes, if you're not ready for it, like I'll give you an example. Did Kajaki, the British war movie Kajaki, and David Elliott, who plays Corporal Mark Wright in it, so he played the lead in it. So David had a really tough gig in terms of he was playing a real person who had lost their life in the movie we're about to depict. So I was playing Stu Pearson. He's a paratrooper from East Kilbride. So I got to meet Stu. It was like a first date and all that, and have a bit of a banter with him and all that. David didn't have that opportunity. David had to go and meet Mark's parents and his fiancée, and he had to do all his research that way. So it was a big pressure on his shoulders. The night we were kind of going to be flying out, we had a big night with all the paras, and somebody came up to David and said, are you playing Corporal Mark Wright? And he said, aye. And the guy says, big fucking shoes, mate. big fucking shoes, right? And I was like, as if he needed that. Do you know what I mean? He was just about to go to the desert for 6 weeks. So fast forward, the movie's been made. David's nominated for a Scottish BAFTA. Right, so big night in his life. I mean, he's done all the work. He's where he wants to be. Unfortunately, that night he's up against David Tennant and Robert Carlyle. See, the night you get nominated, that's not the two guys you want to be up against. You know what I mean? So David's at the BAFTAs that night, and he wins the BAFTA. Right, he pips the two of them to it. So he wins the Scottish BAFTA, and after it, I took him aside and I says to him, "Big fucking shoes, mate. Big fucking shoes." So that was it. You're thinking David's on his way, and I think it was about 2 or 3 months later. David won't mind me sharing because we've chatted loads about it, but I phoned him up, "How you doing?" and all that. He's like, depressed at me not. Phone's no ringing. He thought the BAFTA was then got. He's like, "Put it in the loft, can I look at it?" Every time I look at it, I'm reminded that I'm not working now. You know, and then he that dilemma of going, I don't want to go and work in a pub and get recognised. And they're going, "What are you doing here?" Because you need to pay. And I said, never be ashamed to pay your bills. Never be ashamed to pay your bills. I mean, on that, I mean, during the lockdown, obviously all the arts shut. At first, like everybody, we were sitting in the garden. It was a compulsory break that I probably needed. And in an industry like ours, you don't want to take a break in case you fall behind. You miss an opportunity or anything, or people think, "Oh, you're not doing it anymore." So you're always switched on. And during the lockdown, like, brilliant. You're not falling behind. You're not getting forgot about. But the whole world shut. Painting the fence, painting the house and that stuff. And then I'm going, right, the savings are starting to get down it. I need a job. Looking online, no jobs other than care jobs. So I took a leap of faith, applied for a care job, went in and did all this training, and the training was phenomenal but terrifying as well. It's like, this is how you stop somebody choking, this is if somebody attacks you, this is how you peg feed somebody, this is how you resuscitate somebody. I'm sitting going, what are they preparing you for? Do you know what I mean? Obviously it's everything, but luckily enough I got matched with a young autistic lad, and I got into the care world. I did a shadow shift, and then I'm kind of in charge of the keys to the young boy's life for the next 24 hours. And it was the best job ever. So rewarding and so brilliant. And we go out for walks along the Clyde side every day. When I first arrived, the boy had an older kind of team, so he was in the house a lot. I got him out on helicopters, got a jacuzzi at his back. Did so many things. Got memory books for him, that stuff, and it really inspired me. And it's like it's a job that I'm going. I don't do it anymore, but that was something that happened after 2 years of it. What happened is they come in, they're saying, "We're going to move you to another kind of place, Scott." And I was going, "Oh, is something wrong? What's happened?" And they're like, "No, you wouldn't have been with somebody for 2 years normally. It's only because of lockdown. Like, we always move people around." And at that point, our industry was opening up a wee bit, and I was like, "Ugh."
Do you know, it's kind of like me saying the time I'm out, I'm this guy. Everybody thinks I'm his carer. Because I swear to God, he'll walk past shop windows and just lick them.
Scott, I'm the mature one out of the three years. Pair of idiots.
See, think about like actors during COVID and that, but if you're going from contract to contract, and obviously you had to be with employees for a certain amount of time to get your furlough or whatever else, there must have been a lot of actors who maybe weren't good with their money, who would have been struggling.
Yep, and couldn't prove there was an income from it. I was I've always had kind of PYE and self-employed, so I was I think I got something, and I kind of had a PYE kind of income as well, and then that job was absolutely phenomenal. And hats off, it was one of the jobs that, like you're saying, you're having a laugh, but I've walked past people on the street and going, hats off to you, couldn't do that job.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And actually, when you found yourself in that position, those days I was going, thank God I'm here. Thank God it's me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know this guy's going to have a great day today. Do you know what I mean? Because we're out doing something. And I took the boy in the motor. We'd go to all the theatres that I'd learned for the touring, all the way up to St Andrews. Do you know what I mean? The beach, with Aberdeen, Inverness. He loved Beauty and the Beast, so we'd jump in the motor. And I had a mate that's a butler, and he had butlers all our castles in Scotland, so we'd go looking for the Beast in the castles and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant stuff, man. Amazing stuff. But I think, Jen, you were asking about your mental health. I think things like that were really good to be grateful. For your health, But when growing up, my granny used to say a wee story about her mum. She used to say her mum would say, you count your blessings, and she would say, and what blessings do I have? And her mum used to say to her, you're good health, young lady, and don't you ever forget about it. And that was a big lesson during COVID. But a bit of experience. That's the thing we'll chat about later. But the sort of thing I wanted to be in the book of there's an aspect of going to the BAFTAs and going to movie premieres and everything else. But that job for the 2 years I did it was the best job ever. 2 days a week I was going and loved every day. And I would come in and my wife Karen would be like, you're more buzzing about the stuff you've done that day and improving the young boy's life than you were when you're chatting about Kajaki or something else. She's like, I can see the buzz in you. And I'm going, but it's an amazing thing to be able to make somebody's life better.
Yeah.
I mean, you try and do that's why people into storytelling that we've all sat in the house or sat in a movie theatre and watched something and felt inspired about something. Do you know what I mean? Inspired enough to put a kilt on or do whatever. Do you know what I mean? We all watched Braveheart and felt right. Let's go. You know what I mean?
I watched Outlander and felt the same.
There we go. See, obviously, I know autism isn't really like a physical illness or whatever, but it just makes you feel grateful for. You could wake up and you could be having a bad day for the most stupidest things. But it's just remembering to be grateful for the life you have, isn't it?
Well, again, idea. We go to the theatre a lot, and the young lad, I still see him, and we get spare theatre tickets. We give them a shout, and he comes to the theatre, and I'll say sometimes we're there, maybe the theatre school kids or anything like that, and I'll say to the kids, "Watch Aaron." I says he's an angel, right? I says watch it. No, what are you talking about? I says watch him. So the young lad, if you get a Coca-Cola, right, he will be there, opened and drank, right. So if you're not keeping an eye on him, he's like Coke's drank, right. And then I go at the table, I'm really sorry about that, mate. I'll buy another Coke, and the guy's sees it. Oh, no worries at all. I'll say to the kids, I say, do you think if I drank the man's Coke, he would be all right with it? That's that. Aaron brings out the best in people, and so there's lessons and all these things, but that's how I treated young man, an angel that you've been asked the privilege to support somebody. Do you know what I mean? Absolute privilege to do that, and it was a great job. So, and hopefully at some point, I mean, you'll get to take those skill sets and that stuff you learned into another role. Do you know what I mean? There must be a reason. I believe everything happens for a reason. There was a reason that I played that role for that period, and I definitely think tuning back to your mental health, I think that's serving other people and looking yourself in the mirror and knowing you're a good guy is a nice
purpose
feeling.
in it as well.
Aye.
Purpose.
Aye, really good.
A good message can obviously help, can't it? It's like, because people are forever asking us or looking for advice off us where to go with, and it's like that's something we've never really kind of spoke about, and it is maybe by helping other people you're helping yourself. Maybe that's preventing for going somewhere.
Well, and it releases endorphins and everything doesn't it, in your body, so it absolutely is. And I thought I was watching some of your other podcasts earlier on, and the fella was on was a boxer, and he was chatting about the CA, the CA, and he's saying I have to sort myself out, otherwise it impacts the whole world around him. But there's an impact, and part of CA is you look after other people. You're part of, you're getting help for the group, but you're also helping somebody else. But I suppose that's the buddy system in the military.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? That's back to that. I mean, and I learned loads for that. I mean, that was. You were chatting earlier on about your training. So you watching Kajaki as part of your training. We did a boot camp down in Friday Woods, down in Colchester, and incredible doing the 10k stretcher race. And I mean, everybody's built all differently, and you have to come together. Do you know what I mean? You have to work as a team, and it was the best team bonding you'll ever get. I mean, the guys are all coming down. We're doing London with Billy and Tim in May, and all the Kajaki guys are coming. The crew are coming there. Some of them are coming there from Jordan. The movie producer. Gareth Ellis Unwin won the Academy Award for King's Speech, and he was one of the producers to the movie. He's coming to see it as well. Paul Cates that directed it, he was nominated for a BAFTA for Kajaki. He's all coming, so that's really nice that all the relationships you built, all that. I mean, that's over a decade ago that we did that. So kind of to still have all these relationships, amazing. But
it says it all when it's been a full decade and they're still coming back. Then you can, like you were saying, my good person. But if you weren't, they wouldn't be there. So
a decade.
That's a testament.
Since we filmed it, I think the anniversary, the 10-year anniversary, I think will be September.
Jeez,
so it's mad how quickly.
I think that's mental how Scott's done a stretcher race, and you were actually in the army, and you'd never done a stretcher race.
You were the casualty on the stretcher. The chubby man.
Yeah, Jordan, what's that in your nose, by the way?
Don't know, mate. I think I've been nothing. I like my boss's arse too much, mate. I don't know.
I go back onto your career, because it's something I think it's part of your culture, innit? Growing up here, singing "He's No a Billy, I'm a Tim," pretty much me and you, innit?
It's pretty much me and you.
I think it's like,
except we're not in the jail.
I think it's something
your backyard.
Like it doesn't even matter. Like you're telling people, people ask you, when's the podcast coming back? And you're telling them, oh no, and then you say, oh, it's your man for. I'm singing. I can't even get out. He's not a Billy, I'm a Tim.
He knows the real song. That's why the title of the play is we changed him for the play. He's in the real
and everybody goes, oh, aye, I've seen it. And you don't realise what it is to a community, innit? It's fucking massive.
I think everybody knows that.
It's huge.
Everybody that I've spoke to knows that play.
See, the incredible thing with it is you walk onto the stage, right? Normally doing a play, let's say it takes 20 minutes. You might go and sit in the audience and go, like, right, this guy's playing the da, right? What kind of da is it? It takes maybe 15, 20 minutes to see what kind of guy the guy's playing. As soon as you walk on with that tote, They know who you are, and there's an expectation of what you should be. Now, the amazing thing about the show is there's things, as soon as Tim says something, the whole audience and expectation know, and I've got an expectation of what he should be saying back. Do you know what I mean? Like, he says that, you should be saying that, and that's a surreal thing. But they're cheering you on the stage. The nice thing for us, I mean, first and foremost, the show's an incredible piece of theatre, right? And sometimes that maybe gets forgot about. Because the amount of crowds coming in and everybody having a great time. But if it would, Des Dillon wrote the script, and it's a phenomenal script, and it took him over, I think it was when I picked to play up in the library, I found it in the local library, it had been 12 years before he'd originally started it, and he'd tried it different ways and that kind of stuff. We picked it up, and it's 20 years since then. So you're talking about 30 years ago he started the process of that show, so it's been moulded over the years. But I like the idea of, if it was, I mean, in modern times now, that could easily be a Palestinian and an Israeli in a prison cell, right? And they don't go on, they've got different values, different beliefs, and no matter what you say to them, there's no middle ground, right? I'm right and you're wrong. And then what happens in the play is, through the turnkey, the guy that locks him up, he's having a tough time, and they two guys, just the human beings in them, start to pull together and try and raise his spirits. So if you forget about the tops, it's just about three guys that find themselves in these circumstances, and the two guys that are in the unfortunate, they're the guys locked in the cell. As he's coming in with a cup of coffee or a wee bottle of Coke, for them, they're finding out what's going on, and you're like, because they're watching the match. The two boys, to give we summarise for everyone who doesn't know, Billy and Tim get the jail on the day of the Old Firm match for non-payment of fines, and that was a true story. It happened in Coatbridge. Des based it on that, so they went round and lifted all the guys in the scheme, knowing that their wives would get round and get the money to pay the fines to get out for the game. So this day the two of them are in, and what in the kind of fictional world he's created is, Billy and Tim's wives have put their money on Celtic and Rangers respectively to win. So whoever wins, that person's getting out. Right, so when they're in the cell, they're talking to Harry, who's the jailer. He's locked them up, and they're saying, "You got a radio in your office?" And Tim's like, "He's got a telly." Yeah, that's great. Watch a game. And he's like, "No, you can't watch the telly in here, lads." And they persuade him to turn the telly around so he can see it. So they're taking shots each of watching the game through the hatch. And as the game's unfolding, Harry's waiting on a phone call about his sick grandson. So he's getting that phone call, he's getting that news, he's getting the updates, and unintentionally for the boys, they're getting an insight into that world. And when Harry's having a tough time and maybe saying a wee prayer or anything, the two of them are sitting there having a wee look at each other, thinking, we've got Wayne's and all sitting in this cell. And then when Harry comes in and he's getting a bit upset, they're trying to come together and going, these guys know what they're doing, Harry, he'll be fine, do you know what I mean? It's like you working in here, people come down to the jails for the first time, they're shiting themselves, but it's just your job, innit? So it's fine, and so that bit of the story is really, really important. It just happens to be that the Tope's going, and Des has done a fantastic job of creating everything that Rangers and Celtic are, and the history and the bigotry and everything else. But it's a phenomenal piece of theatre first and foremost, and the people coming to see it and coming to see it again and again. I mean, we change it every time to update it, but ultimately, I mean, the arc of the story is the same.
The mechanics are the same.
That's it. So, but
it's such an important message as well, because unfortunately there is still a small minority of people on both sides who wouldn't mix with the other side. Well,
it's really interesting. I mentor one day a week in a local high school, right? So I go in the morning and I see a young lad there, and well, it's one of the things, you walk in and is he interested in me hanging out with him for an hour a week? And over the course, I used to take my Fitbit about, send me go out in the park and kick a ball about and stuff. And then one day I went in and he says to me, "I'm a tangerine banana," right? that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people other than Scotland were playing Ireland, right? And in the play, Tim explains to Billy that he's an Irish Scot, right? And Billy says, "An Irish Scot, I've heard it all now." He says, "What's up with being an Irish Scot?" "Nothing, I tell you what, I'm a tangerine banana," right? And Tim says, "No, you're an orange bastard," right? So this wee boy had seen that trending on TikTok, right? So he comes in and goes, "I'm a tangerine banana." I'm going, right, game's up. He knows now that bit of my life. So he was a big blue nose, and he'll come in and he'll sing the songs. He's singing sectarian songs. He's talking about things he doesn't know what any of them mean. He's a young lad, and like maybe would say something, sing a song about Bobby Sands or something. I said, "Do you know who Bobby Sands is? Do you know a wee bit about political prison? Do you know a wee bit about this?" And I said to him, "I didn't, and I used to sing songs and all." I said, "And I don't mind you singing it as long as you know what you're singing, because if you get a smack in the mouth, as long as you knew you were singing, you're just smacking the mouth." I said, "But if you don't know, that's no fair." So it's trying to say, like, just so as you know, as you get older, do you know what I mean? Because that wee bit, you're young now, but at 16 you'll be getting done for a hate crime or these sort of stuff. So, but through the play, so I'll bring the script in and we'll do a wee bit of bashing the lines and stuff, saying, "What's the new players? And you need to help me help the script. I don't know the up-to-date players and that stuff." And there's times now we're sitting with the teachers and they'll say, "There's things the guys can't say because they've took it too far." Because if you say that, then there's they coming. Because at the end of the show, you want the audience to like the two guys. And if they're saying certain things, there's certain things you can't come back for. If you've said that now, nah, you're a wrongin', and you can't come back for that. So that's been nice that it's been used kind of as an educational tool in that sense. But it's very interesting is that I think a lot of it comes from no knowing. And I was guilty myself. To get an idea of Billy and Tim, I got my van all sign rated when I had the show, right? And we went to Northern Ireland. Right? Wee Glaswegian boy, three actors and the technician jumped in a van down to Stranraer. They're all looking at us like we're psychos going on to the ferry. There, we're playing Dublin, the Waterfront Theatre. So we go there, and very quickly I realised, geez, the pavements and all that, the murals and all that. I need to hide this van. Right, so I try to hide a van in Northern Ireland. It's got Rangers and Celtic on the side of it. And we went to the Waterfront Theatre in Belfast, and I don't know if you know it, but it's got a big kind of wall around it, like a prison. Yeah. You go to the first security gate, they open up, the van goes in, and they lock the security gate, and then they check it for explosives and stuff like that. The only time that's ever happened when we've done the prisons, because we took the plane to prisons and they did the same thing. And then we put the van in the yard and we left it there all weekend. But we went round and did the taxi tours and that, and it was really interesting. Like the nice thing was you'd do a kind of, maybe it was a taxi tour by the kind of Catholic side of things, and they'd be saying make sure you do the Protestant one. It's the same tour, but it's a different side of the story. And a big education, even like the Peace Wall in Northern Ireland. That you know, I had visions of what the Berlin Wall was as I've watched in the news, and then you go and you realise it's weaved in and out of communities and stuff like that. And they say to us it's 4 times a year they close the gates, and the guy posed the question, when is that? When do you think that is? I'm thinking, well, probably be like Christmas, maybe earlier here, but certain days of the year that there's things on. And he's like, no, when Rangers play Celtic, they lock the gates and they divide it. And he's gone, so a football match that isn't even in this country is locked. So if you go for your messages, you're not getting home. Do you know what I mean? So stuff like that's been really educational, but I think it does come down to knowing a wee bit about it. And I've grew up with both sides. I mean, my character Billy's based on 3 brothers that I grew up with, and it's the 3 levels of bigotry, because there's bits in the play where he goes really extreme and then he's nice and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, how do you find the truth in that? I use the 3 brothers, the three versions of it to find the truth in that. But I think knowing a wee bit about what you're singing and what you're saying is a big thing. And
it definitely puts out a good. I think it paints a brilliant picture, because, as I says at the start there, it needs to be lighter. The mood needs to be lighter. I think it did for a while, but it came right back. We've always had it. When you're in the army, people think if you're in the army, you support Rangers, and that's end of chat. Isn't it like that? And it's 50-50. And you get in camp, it's like fucking
Scottish guys were mainly Celtic fans.
90 minutes and you hate each other. It's just it. End of chat.
I think that's just a kind of a bigger picture on society now. There's a lot of intolerance now, isn't there?
Aye, not even just Celtic, Rangers, Catholic, Protestant, just fucking in life, innit? It's like...
Well, I'll tell you something. We met with the female cast, right? They said that Bev sent the female version was out, and I thought that was a good idea, so I met with them the other day and they wanted to do the show. But I was saying to them, so they're a lot younger, they're in their 20s, and that's when I last did this show, right? I was in my 20s, and I was saying to them, I think me and Colin are getting to the stage where we're pushing it to be still playing these 2 guys in a cell, that because if they're in their 20s and they're saying certain things, the idea is in the play they grow up a bit. Do you know what I mean? They grow up a bit through learning a wee bit about more important things in life. But at 40 getting into it, I says maybe by 40 should know already. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the lassies, they disagreed, which was really interesting. They were younger and they said no. He says, we think that the younger generation actually are a bit more open-minded, because they've grew up in an era where, you know, kind of there is mixed races in all the schools. You know, there's people from different countries. You know, kind of there's openly, you know, there's kids now that have got, there's two kids that are together and they're the same sex, and it's not nobody bats an eyelid. Whereas it's more the older generation.
After that.
Do you know what I mean? It's the older generation a wee bit that actually are going, oh, it's so I was like, right, we'll take that then. That's the truth I'll be playing. Do you know what I mean? Because I was thinking a wee bit, maybe I'm getting a wee bit, you know.
Well, it makes sense, really, doesn't it? Because as you say, it's when what you grow up in is just unintentionally, that's the path you can end up going down in it.
Aye.
Whether you like it or not.
Of course.
But it comes down as well. The big theme we put through the show, and when we kind of got hold of it, was the families, right? Because we went into schools, right? I can go into school and chat away to the young boy I'm chatting away. But if he's getting home and he's got a Marada singing all the songs and all that stuff, doesn't matter what I say for an hour a week. Do you know what I mean? That's the big influence. So we tried to put it through the play that it's families, You know, families that, you know, kind of and I mean, we've done the show. I did the show in Dublin, right? So I told this story in one of the other podcasts, and it was 1,300 people coming to see the Olympia Theatre on St Paddy's weekend. And so it's 99.9% Celtic fans, and I'm coming on as Billy, the Rangers fan. So I come on in the dark, and I come on and I get booed on. Right, the weirdest sensation in the world. Your nightmare obviously is getting booed off, right? You're bored as shitless, right? It was awful, and you get booed. Getting booed on. You know, you say the words yet, right? And then you're like, I've got to sing a few songs here. Do you know what I mean? I've got to, and so you make a joke that normally every other night gets a big laugh, and you fire out there nothing. just 13 other people growling at you, and the other guys, you know, he's getting carried shoulder high for the building. Do you know what I mean? Kind of stuff. So all these stuff are a magical experience as well that the shows gave us, but it's a positive message, and I mean we did it as well in like we went to Armagh and stuff like that, and there was people turning up in the colours.
Aye.
You know, so again, we're young boys, like look and go, fuck, maybe they're taking it all very serious, like, you know, like kind of, geez, like kind of, and you go out and you say something, you're like watching for that reaction, and by the end of it, we get video footage, not we kind of made a documentary, and the guys were saying, you know, kind of felt sitting next to the opposite side, like by the end of it, we're laughing, looking at each other and going, what a couple of fannies turning up with their tops on, like turning up going right, and by the end of it, we're having a laugh, do you know what I mean? Kind of, and that's it. And that's the power of theatre and storytelling, as I say. Some people think theatre's not for me, it's storytelling. You say it all the time, this is storytelling. This is a format of storytelling. So sometimes I'll say to people, you like a theatre, I don't like a theatre. I'm like, you watch telly? That's theatre. It's just theatre on the telly. Do you know what I mean? It's all came from the same place.
Have you ever had any, obviously, like people, it's a show where people go to it with their beliefs and intentions. Have you ever had anything negative for the crowd?
You'll always get it's different. Colin plays the Tim in the play, and we've came from very different backgrounds. Colin's dad was a sergeant in the police, and his mum was a nurse and all that stuff. I grew up a single mum, working 3 jobs, and wasn't about a lot. So we'd very different experiences growing up. And Colin got into the theatre a lot younger than me, and he did a lot of amateur theatre. So he did maybe an expectation, and audiences behaved a certain way, whereas I didn't have that. So I went out and I was like, brilliant, you know, that's getting a reaction. You know, sometimes some of them will join in with the songs in certain bits and bobs at certain bits, and there's, in many ways, some people I think they're trying to make sure that all the things they want said get said. And the nice thing is, there's 2 years, we both represent each side. Don't worry about it. We've got it covered. We don't need your ad lib. We don't need you to throw in a wee bit. We've got it all covered, and we've got an arc of a story we need to go to. So we can't just pull out all the arguments in the first scene. We've got to take this over the course of 90 minutes. But the most terrifying moment I had was in Berlin. We did the show in Berlin, so we got invited in Berlin. At first, we're going in thinking we're Johnny Cash. I mean, like, yes, did the play about the jail in the jail, yes. And went in, and there's a bit in the show. I try to not give too much of the show away, but there's a brilliant bit in it where Tim confesses something, right, that to Billy, and Billy's not sure whether he's telling the truth or not. He said, "I'm telling you, that's the truth," and all that. And at that point, one of the guys in the front row got up and just fucked off, right? So he says it, and the guy got up and fucked off, and I know the play, so I'm going, just wait, give me, I've got to pause, then I'm going to say what I say, and I'll nullify that very quickly. You know, I'm going to get him. So he says that thing, and this guy gets up and walks away, and I'm like, all right, I better speed up that line. So I'm like, I fire out the line, gets the reaction, the play moves on, and about 5 minutes later, the guy comes back, right? So again, in my head, the narrative, I'm going like, we've won him there. He must have stood at the door and went, fuck this shite, and then he's went, actually, you know what, I'm going back to watch it, right? That's on my head. And then after it, right, I was talking to this big guy, Vinny, that kind of booked us in and all that. I was like, Vinny, I was like, fucking hell, man, when that guy got up, and he's like, John, you went for a piss? Went for a piss. That's my head. He's like, he's raging, this guy.
He's away for a shank. He's coming back, he's stabbing me. He's
just away for a quick piss. But I'd say the thing is, the terrifying things were things like no maybe understand it. And that was the thing, the big lesson I learned from going to Northern Ireland was they've had to deal with the consequences of sectarianism. In Scotland, as you're saying, we've got a thing that during that game, you know, you can sit in a house or they're different houses and text your mates, you're this, you're that, you're this, that, blah, blah. And at the end of it, he's like, no, I'm not talking to you for the next hour because you're gloating. But it's done and dusted by the next day, and you go into work, you get a wee bit of gloat there, and then it's away. But in Northern Ireland, you know, and that was a big thing about the play was when we were there was people would come out after it, and we weren't sure what they would say, and they were going, it was hilarious. It's funny to see 2 Glaswegians because we're thinking, what's it going to do with yous? And that was a reaction we weren't expecting. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of, but they moments were kind of scary. But the scariest moments on the stage is. I scored a goal in the Rang half at the Citizens Theatre one night. So I scored a goal, and it was the Rang bit. So I was like, yeah, turns into him, and I looked at him, and he's giving me a look as if you're a dick. Fuck, how do you fix? I don't know how to fix this. So I just turned back around the door and I just said, "Well, kidding you on your dick, right?" And then I watched the game. I'm like, I have no idea where we are because I've jumped to play, so I don't know where we are. And he's then sitting there going, "How do I fix this?" And he's like. mind earlier on you were saying about whatever, and I go, aye, right, I know what I'm talking about now. So things like that are more scary than anything, but the nicest thing is just feeling that wave of laughter, you know, kind of. But it is intense at the start. What we do at the start of the show, we've got all the songs you'd hear at Ibrox on before it, and all the songs you'd hear at Parkhead. So you've got, you know, Simply the Best maybe on, and You'll Never Walk Alone, and then it's tit for tat. So what tends to happen is somebody sits in Simply the Best, and a wee bit of that starts happening. So what happens as soon as fucking Never Walk Alone comes on, somebody's a wee bit heavier. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, well, you did a bit heavier with that. So before the show, there's already all that stuff building up. Do you know what I mean? Which is all part of the show and the drama.
Fucking kills me that you've got something like I love that tune, man. That kills me because I fucking know every word. I know, man. I've seen I hear it, and my head fucking shut up.
I'm sure it was a lassie went to Park East to get
He
a
sings it and
private
everything.
gig.
He sings it.
I
My
do.
Rangers
I
scarf
like-
singing it.
I do like a tune. It's like, I like Tina Turner, man.
I can't argue with you.
She's good.
But
John, you look like Tina Turner.
there was a lassie at a function at Parkhead, and she turned up for a private function, and she didn't know. She came to abroad, and she sang it and booed off and all that. Like, Jesus Christ.
I'd have been up there, man. I don't care word for word. I think it's class. Did she not come on at Ibrox, or was it a tribute act or
It
something?
was
that sang at
a
Ibrox?
tribute act.
Was it a tribute? I thought it was a real thing.
They wouldn't have had the real Tina. No chance.
No.
man. No
I think she
chance.
knows the connection.
I
Does she
don't
know?
know.
I don't think she knows the new, mate.
I think she would have in some,
Aye,
but I don't know if it would just been like a sports thing.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a sports thing because it would have been played at the Super Bowl and it would have been played at fucking
Aye,
all sorts.
you're
So
right, you're right.
she wouldn't have went Rangers. They're my team.
See, obviously talking about the playing, I was telling a guy in Morgady who was coming on late at night, and his words were, seen the play, the theatre, and it was the best show he's ever seen in his life. The best thing he's ever seen. So it's...
Well, get an idea, when I went to my local library, right, so my kind of journey was, at 21 I was still filling shelves in the supermarket, and my now wife Karen came in one day and said, you know, why do you go to college? And I was thinking, well, I wasn't that great at school. College is for smart people, do you know what I mean? And she brought in a prospectus for a college course, and there was an acting course on it. And I said to her, cause I sing in the fit one night out in the karaoke, do you know what I mean? I'll get yelled at. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean I can go to an acting course. But long story short, I applied for it, and I got an interview, and I went to the interview, and they liked what I said, and then they said, on you go with your audition piece. And I hadn't brought an audition piece, because it said in the letter you've asked to perform from memory a monologue, and I didn't know what a monologue was, but I thought it was a memory test. Because it said you'll be asked to perform from memory. So I thought, whatever it is, I need to memorise it. No realise it. So when I teach the kids now, I say, do you know what a monologue is? And they go, of course we know what a monologue is, Scott, we're at a drama class. And I'm like, you're way ahead of me. Do you know what I mean? So if you're impressed by anything I've done, I get a decade.
So what did you use? Did you
So they gave me an
start building
improvisation.
songs?
So what they done is they said, right, doesn't matter. And I was like, I knew it did matter. Like, so they just made me improvise. I think they said, imagine you've opened the letter and you get into the drama school, and I did probably a football celebration running around the room. I got in, ma.
Knee slide t-shirt.
I don't know, to be honest, if there was a criteria I ticked or my postcode, or you know, was it a deprivated area? I don't know what, but I was the worst student to ever start. But by the end of it, I'd set up my own theatre company and graduated, and I won Young Entrepreneur of the Year and that stuff. And that was all. We took the shows that we were making as part of the course out to East Kilbride Arts Centre on different theatres at the weekends. And then by the time I finished, I had my own theatre company, and I walked into Rutherglen Library, to the road, and I seen Billy and Tim. And I'd grew up sharing a bedroom with my brother, who was a Celtic fan, and I was a Blue Nose. I don't even know if I was a Blue Nose, because we didn't have a dad out, so I don't know if it was just to piss him off. He was 2 years older than me, and he was a Celtic fan, so just a wee brother, just be annoying in it. Do you know what I mean? And then you meet mates and all that kind of stuff. But I read the script, and like you, I was like, I've never read anything like this. The theatre doesn't get made. It's like this. This is all stuff that's relevant. And I knew, I'm going, this is a brilliant piece of theatre. It's amazing that it's all stuff I know, and it's for the world I've grew up in. But this would, you know, if you took it and put it in, as I say, like if you put it in Italy and it was AC Milan, Inter Milan, it would work. Do you know what I mean? If it was Scotland, England International, it works. You just change it up a bit. The concept here is so brilliant. It really, really works. But by the amount of people that have came to it and had one of the best nights that they've ever been at a theatre, means an awful lot.
See, when you started your acting career as such, when you went to college, did you feel any pressure for the outside world? Because maybe back then people would maybe judge, because everybody likes films and stuff, but when you're starting off at the bottom of the thing, maybe people maybe judging.
I was in the football team, but I've always been, and this is something that my wife said she admired when we were younger, I never really bowed to peer pressure. I think I was always enough to be in the football team and be, I'm alright, no worries. You can say that now. That was like a wee my defence mechanism was, now that you've said that, I'm no budging. Do you know what I mean? Because you're slagging it, I'm going to go and do more. Do you know what I mean? I'll do Mary what you've said then, you know, kind of. So when I went, I was doing doing night shift in the supermarket. So I'll give you an idea. My moment of I got the prospectus, got into the college, and I went to my man. I says, I got into college, Mum, got to college. and she said to me, "You can't go to college. I need your dig money," right? And she wasn't being shit. I know fully that I was paying 200 quid a month at the time, dig money, because my brother had moved it. It was just me and my ma, so I was a man of the house, and we worked in the supermarket with the students, and the students were always skint, and she's sitting going, "I can't have you being skint at, I can't support you. You're kind of supporting the house." So I then went, right, how can I earn a full-time wage and do a full-time college course? And I went on to the night shift. So I would do my night shift during the night, finish at 8 in the morning with my Safeway uniform on, and I would drive on my scooter, my moped, to college for 9 in the morning. And I'd still have my Safeway uniform on, and I'd go and do the drama course. So that was the clashing of two worlds there. Was one walking in going, I didn't know how to write an essay, had to go and ask the teachers. So bear in mind, you're around maybe 16 to 21 year olds that are, the time in their life, they've either done further education, they've always wanted to do acting or whatever. I'm going to know nothing about acting, knew nothing about Shakespeare, didn't know how to write an essay, and you felt like a fish out of water. And you would get in, and there was a wee Glasgow boy for, kind of Rutherglen, an all white school, kind of, it was just everybody, you knew everybody, they're off your own area. At that time, there wasn't loads of people from Poland or Romania or anybody in the country. So then you go to college and you start meeting people from Poland, and you think you've had a tough upbringing, and you hear people sharing some of their stories. I mean, I remember sitting in a group just like this, and the teacher saying, tell us a good time in your life, a bad time in your life, and something you're really proud of, right? I think my good time is like winning player of the year at the football. My bad time was falling off my scooter. My achievement was getting into college or something like that. I can't really remember what it was, but we went round the circle, and there was a guy, and he said, hardest time of my life was telling my man I was gay. And I looked, I never thought for a minute the guy was gay. And I was like, Jesus God, I thought, I'm thinking some of the stuff I've grew up with is a tough upbringing, and kind of, I'm quite resilient. I'm going, God, what a tough thing. And I think in modern days, even now, it probably doesn't seem like much, but back then, I'd never heard anybody saying that. Do you know what I mean?
It's one of the ones where you always downplay yourself. Like, you think, that wasn't as tough on me. That guy's stories is much harder than mine, but he'd be thinking the same thing about you. Do you know what I mean? You always downplay yourself.
There was a moment where I thought everybody else was brilliant, right? And that's partly why I set up a theatre company. I thought these guys are all great and they're leaving and getting no work. And I was like, well, I'll try and do something, and we'll all get a job, kind of. And but I remember doing, they call it sight reading, right? So it's like me giving you a script tonight, you've never seen it, and you have to read it. And I would naturally read it in slang. So it's written in English, obviously, and I would just naturally turn it. And one of the lassies said, "That's amazing that you can just read. It sounds so natural." Like you were saying earlier, I let you hear the audio and the animation from my chapter 1 of my book. Like that's sight reading. I mean, that's a story I know really well. But sight reading that just and making that feel really natural is a skill. And that was the first time you're getting praise off fellow students and stuff. And you start thinking, well, maybe there is a wee bit of talent there. And I'd say I've always looked at acting as storytelling. And there's certain stories I know I can tell. There's certain stories that are a stretch. Like Outlander, for example. Going to Outlander, it wasn't a major, big starring role for me, but it was the biggest TV show in the world at the time. So you're getting into that with massive pressure, going, I don't want to look a fool on the telly with a crap accent, or I'm a crap actor. But going in and going, right, I've only got 3-4 lines a day, so I can watch. I can learn from other people that have done it loads. Do you know what I mean? And that's
yes, my lord.
Get that! The kilt, it comes through the kilt.
You need to say it, man. Yes, my lord.
Fiery boxers.
Oh, brilliant.
The fire when you pee.
That is the fire, mate. The fire's the kilt.
What's it like being on, like say, a set, Outlander? Because obviously, as you're saying, it was the biggest thing in the telly. What is it? There must be people that just, obviously you've got your main characters and that in it. Are you amongst these people all the time? And is it like
a couple of good stories, right? So I'll tell you this. This is the story my ma tells people, right? So this is my ma's version of it, is that they send a car to Scott's house to pick him up, right? He's in this big TV show now. He's a big TV star, right? Send a car to the house, right? And he gets in the car, and then they drive him to the set, and then he gets an umbrella as he goes in, and he gets his own trailer, right? And they bring him like breakfast and all that, and then he can like play computer games and that. And then they come and dress him. He gets somebody that dresses him, and they do his hair and his makeup and all that stuff, right? And then he can sit in the trailer. Doesn't even need to go out in the cold and all that until they need him, and then you take him out on the umbrella, onto the movie set when everybody else has been there for 12 hours in the rain, and then he get to do the acting, right? What's really happening is the production company are sending a car because most actors are that skint that they might not be able to get there, right? So, and that also means that from the minute you're picked up, they know where you are. You're no phoning saying my train was late because you actually slept in, or there's I'm no well or whatever. They know where you are that minute. You're in the car. You get there, they put you in your cage, right, of the trailer, right? So they know where you are. Don't move, right? We'll bring you cakes or some breakfast, whatever else. Don't move. They don't trust you enough to let you dress yourself, so they send somebody to do that for you. Don't bother touching your hair and makeup. We'll do that. Then they wheel you onto the set at the last minute because the real filmmakers have been there all day, right? And they just don't you mess it up. You're a walking, talking, moving prop, and you're only need to drop in for a couple of scenes, do it a few times, and then get to, right? But it's two very different ways of looking at it. So one of the days I got into a car, and Richard Rankin was there. So Richard's for Rutherglen, and Gary Lewis was in the car, and Sophie Skelton was there, and also there was 3 of them already in the car, right? So I get in at my house, and over the years I'd learned kind of you don't want to go into the green rooms and everything else and be talking about your CV and everything else, right? So you kind of just go in. I go in normally in the morning, go morning, eyes shut, go to sleep, right? Safe. Silence is safe, right? Don't say a word, right? And then you're not saying anything wrong. But this morning...
You hearing this, Silence is safe.
Silence is safe. And then I go in this morning and I say, like, Gary Lewis is there, but Richard Rankin's there. Now I went to school with Richard, right? So Richard was at Stonelaw High with me. So, and I'd done done Baldy Bain with him. He was on the road safety when we were in schools, and he was in one team, I was in another. So I go into the motor, see Richard, like, all right, how you doing? And I think the way we were talking, Gary Lewis gauged that we kind of knew each other. I says, you two know each other? I says, I says, Richard and I went to school together. He's like, all right, what school? I says, Stonelaw High. He's all right. He said, who was your drama teacher then? Is it the same drama teacher? I said, oh, my drama teacher is Richard, a different drama teacher. He says, who's your English teacher? I said, Mr. Stevenson. He says, what's he like? I said, oh, Mr. Stevenson was brilliant. Let you show off in front of all the lassies, and then he'd say, right, pipe down, my wee man. He didn't pipe you the class, other ones, he'd be like, right, yeah, that's plenty, right? And he says, that's my brother. Right, Mr. Stevenson's brother. So he's Gary Lewis's brother, taught us at school. So that was kind of a booga moment of going, wow. Then it struck up a rapport. One day I was sitting in the set, and a lassie chatted to the door, and she said, Gary wants to see you in the trailer next door. Well, Gary Lewis want to see me? Why would he want to see me? Walk in, and he had an audition, and he wanted me to read the other lines. So I'm sitting in a trailer with Gary Lewis. Now you're talking gangs in New York, you know what I mean? Billy Elliot and all that. I'm sitting there giving it like, here's the other feeding on his lines. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of. And like Sam and Kit, the other thing about I went in season 2 of Outlander. So you got to remember, they've all been working together probably about 2 years, because a year of prep or the training and all that, and then they're actually filming it. There's no big stars yet because the show's just starting to hit. So they're no at the peak of, kind of fame yet. So, but you're going in and it's like, when you were younger, you used to go to the park, and if let's imagine the new kid at a new school, or the new kid in the area go to the park, I was already playing the park. You kind of got to go in and try and get accepted by everybody, and have enough fun, but try and get invited back the next time. So you're kind of going in with that kind of thing of there's already bonds and everything else there. They've done all the learning and all the new stuff. All your new stuff isn't new to them. So you're knowing the same kind of journey as them. So you're kind of trying to read and judge it. My first scene on set was a topless scene in front of about 400 extras. Thankfully, I didn't have any lines because my mouth was dry. I mean, you're talking earlier on about sand. Allergies, oh man, my mouth. So going to the set, so what's happening is my character is going to get a public lashing, and he's getting a public lashing because the war chief, right, Big Graham McTavish's character, has arrived back, and I let him in because he'd have killed you if you didn't let him in, right? So he comes up, all right, how you doing? In you go. The next day, nobody was supposed to get into the camp, so Jamie Fraser, Big Sam Hewen's character, is going to make an example of me, and I'm getting a public lashing, right? So no worries, everybody's all there. They chat about what they're going to do. So I go out onto the scene, top off, lean out of this barrel thing and get my public lashing, right? And there's a kind of foam lash, but if it does connect, you feel it, you know. So a couple of times, the big Murtaugh's like got me a few times, big Duncan Lacroix. So that's fine. Scene's all done, right? And then what we're doing is, like 2 days later, Sam's character Jamie lets somebody in, and he's got to nominate himself for a public lashing to prove his point that nobody's allowed in. So Zach's basically the guy's like, right, you change hats, you change clothes, because it's the same scene, but it's happening 2 days later. So everybody's standing in different positions, and it's night time now or whatever. It's a bit later, so the lighting's different. Cool. So I'm standing there going, this would be good to see what my scene was like. I'm kind of getting to watch my scene. It's quite cool. So I'm standing there, quite the thing. Action rolling. Big Sam comes there. Blah blah. Take public lashing. Top off. 300 women go. I'm sitting there going, didn't hear anybody going, when I took my top off, you know what I mean? Like, telling people, need to redo this, by the way. This is, you know, there's a continuity issue here. You know what I mean? They didn't do that to me. See, we days like that were fun. There was also Graham McTavish, the day his character died, I had one line or something, and I opened the door and tell him you're wanted. So I was there the whole day. They were coordinating the fight and all that. It's a huge scene in it. And that's what I'm meaning about sometimes it's good to be the student. So if I was ever in a scene now where I'm playing somebody that's the guy that's murdering somebody or getting murdered, I've actually been on a set when I've seen guys that have been doing it for 20 years. I mean, Graham McTavish is in Rambo and Rocky and all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? So you're in a room with people that have done a lot more than you, and that's what you want to be. You should be a student. Do you know what I mean?
Just learning every
all
day
the
on
time.
set.
I mean, but phenomenal stuff. I mean, there was another day where I'd a scene. Had one word, sorry, right? But so I'm kind of reading the scene. I've got to carry Kincaid in, so I'll tell you the fireman story, right? So remember me to come back to this, 'cause I'll tell you the story, I forget it, right? So in the script, I have to carry my best mate like this, right? And the guy that's playing Kincaid's but sizes we used to, right? And I'm sitting going, how am I going to carry him in my arms, right? For this scene, right? So one day I'm sitting in the makeup chair like this, and one of the makeup lassies goes like, Scott, are you a fireman? And I'm like, no, I'm not a fireman. She's like, oh, one of the guys was saying that one of the new guys is a fireman. I said, no, I'm not a fireman. So what happens over the course of the next few days, the makeup team, every time they see me, are like, hi, Mr. Fireman. Yeah, you know, how, are you get your hose ready, Mr. Fireman? All this kind of shit every day, right? So the first you were kind of having a laugh at it, and then eventually going, oh, very funny, great, aye. And I think eventually weren't even reacting to it. There was a young lad on set, Roman, a wee French kid, and he played young Fergus, right? So I'm sitting this day in the green room as you do, right? Sitting bored, waiting, and the makeup artist walks past, goes, morning, fireman. I'm like, morning, right? And Roman goes, are you a fireman? Right? The bear in mind that there's date you're sitting for hours and hours and hours waiting, right? There's no lot going on. I thought, fuck it. I said, aye, Roman, I'm a fireman. And he's like, oh, wow, fireman, right? And then they go, right, Roman, Scott on set, right? Go on set and forget all about it, right? A couple of days later, I'm sitting there thinking, same thing in green room, and I'm like, he thinks I'm a fireman. I was like, right, let's have some fun. So I was like, I says, Roman, you want me to tell you one of my stories about being a fireman? He's like, oh yeah, he's sitting up and all that. Now it's quite boring. He's Moz there, and I'll tell you a story. I says, one day a phone call come in, the unit get called. It says, it's a high-rise flat. There's a fire at the top of the building. I says, there's a woman there with a baby, right? So we arrive, and the woman's screaming, help me, my baby, and we're there with you, and you know, we know right away we can't get that high up. The ladders don't go that high up, so we can't do anything, right? So the fire's getting higher and higher, screaming, help. You know, and the guys are all going in going, what are we going to do? Because we don't have the tools to help this woman. I says, you know, we're trying to get the crowds reformed, we're trying to get the crowds back. And I says, and this guy walks forward and he says, guys, you don't know me. He says, my name's Peter Cech. He says, I'm the Arsenal goalkeeper. Right? And I says, if you don't know him, he says, he used to play for Chelsea. I says, you know, his hands the size of shovels rolling, right? This guy's huge, right? And he says, I know it sounds crazy. He's like, but if she throws it down, I'll catch the baby. Right? Be like, right, the top of stupid ideas, we'll not be doing that, no thanks. But the woman's screaming, you know, the baby's there, the fire's getting higher and higher, and as we're going on, we're like, you know what? Like, if you don't get that baby out of there, the baby's going to die, right? So we bring in big Peter Cech. We're like, Mom, if you throw, this is Peter Cech, he's the Arsenal goalkeeper. If you throw down the baby, he'll catch it. She's like, no way, I'm not throwing my baby down. But the fire's getting higher and higher and higher, and she's getting more and more desperate, and eventually she throws the baby out. And the Peter Cech, this giant man, hands like shovels, 6'5", starts running across the street in slow motion. He leaps up into the air, catches the baby, bounces it twice and kicks it. And the wee boy's face is like, and this time, guys, I have tears rolling down my eyes, right? That he's believed it the whole time. And he's just sitting there like, what?
I was fucking believing it, man. I was writing that story.
You were about to shout penalty at Rangers, weren't you?
No, it's your call.
That's the.
I get sucked right in there, man.
That's the fireman story. So they're the sort of, if you're bored on set, you're telling. So where was my reference point? I said, do you remember? Because I forgot where I was.
I
thought that was just the story we want to remember.
that was
I liked that. I genuinely thought I was at the fucking theatre there. I was right into that.
I can feel the fire
I know.
in the boxers.
I could just hear the goalie gloves and that coming on there.
Oh, that was
good.
it. I'd one word in a scene.
Aye.
That was it, right?
For the Kerry name.
Aye, it was Kerry. That's how the fire story.
Kerry
That was it.
Kincaid.
So this scene I have to carry the guy in, and so I'm like, right, okay, so I couldn't carry him that way, so we end up doing a fireman's lift, right? So I bring him in, put him down, he gets laid down, he's dead, and Claire, who's played by Kat, who's the lead actress in it, her job's to come over, check him out, he's dead. She turns around to me and says, "There's nothing more I can do, I'm sorry." And I just parrot the line, like, "Sorry? You're sorry? You're fucking sorry, right?" Essentially just subtext there, "You're sorry." So we're doing that scene. I think we'll get about a second of camera time here when they edit this together. Do you know what I mean? Just me saying one word. So bring him in, put him down, do all the stuff, and she says the word to me, and I grab her to no let her go. I just say, "Sorry," as if that's all you're going to say about this. And then she says, "There's nothing I can do," and she moves and she does something that a lot of maybe other younger actors that wouldn't appreciate. This is that she's the lead actress, right? So in this moment she can take the camera away, right? So what that means is the camera guy's there, she's the money, he's going to follow the money, right? She left the camera with me. She didn't do anything for the camera guy to follow her, and she just left the camera on me. And there's a bit, it's in my show reel, that scene's about a 3-minute scene, and I've only said one word in it, and you got all that camera time. And that was a hats off to Kat, that she just kind of just gave a wee nod that there's nothing else I can do, and she went away and just walked out a shot. So there was nothing for the guy to film, and he just stayed with me. And in that scene, I remember Diana Gabaldon, the writer, said to me, she said, "Ron really liked you." Ron was the big executive producer on it, and you're like, that was another lesson of going, you can only have one line and still,
of course,
you get a lot of screen time with it. And that kind of reminds me of another story is Stephen Walters plays Angus in it. You've all seen it?
I've seen it. I see all these stories you're telling me. I'm like, I remember that. Used to a close.
I've done a bit of research on it. I mean, I've
brilliant,
tried.
man.
I'm no. You like that stuff. You watch these things like Sharpay and all that.
Oh, Sharp's
I
brilliant.
find it hard to get.
Brilliant.
I just watched Star Wars.
Just for Baby Yoda, innit?
You need to watch it, because it is.
No,
it is-
it is
it is
A few people have said.
Absolutely
A few
brilliant.
people have said the same
It's
thing. You get right
binge-worthy.
into it.
There's a good few seasons and it's binge-worthy. What happened to Ross? Where to go after he gets sent back to Edinburgh?
This is
Where is he?
this is an amazing bit of the story. Is so I got a availability check through from my agent for season 3. Like, brilliant in season 3, because you knew we were alive, so that's great. I'm not died, should be in it. That's grand. An availability check, and then and I got a message for the agent going, "No, they don't need you anymore." I'm like, fucking hell. And I got a message for Diana Gabaldon, the writer, and she says, "Scott, I'm really sorry." She says, "I was in a read through, like, but to give you an idea, I utilised the social media when I was on the show. So I would I'm saying I utilised it. I was just nice, right? So like whenever he's becoming a movie star, they don't follow him, they don't talk to anybody, right? Now somebody says, "Any chance you can share this?" Dinged, right? Any chance you wish somebody a birthday? Dinged. I'm a movie star now, right? I was the opposite. I knew, like, look, I'm in a few episodes and that, this is good fun, but I was wanting to go, I hope all these people will follow me when I do other shows,
course,
right? So somebody says, "Go give us a shout out." Anybody's happy birthday. I followed, just got, anybody's followed you back, right? And I ended up with over 500,000 Twitter followers, right? So part of when season 13 ended, people were saying, "They're like, are you going to be in season 3?" No, I said, "You're not allowed to say it," but I was like, "Well, I'm not dead." Do you know what I mean? Like, but they are all going to Culloden, and they started a Save Ross campaign. Right,
Aye.
so all the fans
Save Ross,
started to
where
Save
to go?
Ross, right? Save Ross, Save all these.
Back to Lallybrook.
I was working at a theatre time, like selling T-shirts and all that stuff, right? Save Ross, all that stuff, right? And you got Diana message. We say, "I'm really sorry." She says, because Ross is now like really well known, and because of the Save Ross campaign, there's a bit in season 2 where I say to Jamie, Sam's character, are the Redcoats after us? Are they close? Are the British after us? Are they close? And he says, "Don't worry about it. I'll see you safe," right? So that line of "I'll see you safe," because there's a big following now on me, it resonated. Like the fans would quote it and all that. "Oh, Scott's all right," because Jamie said, and Jamie's the main guy. And if Jamie says you'll be all right, you can't then die.
He goes
He's
by his
looking
word.
after you, right?
Jamie goes by his word.
So what happens in the first scene of season 3 is Culloden and everything gets mutilated, right? So Diana said, she said, "You were in to get mutilated," and I said, "You can't," because Jamie said him specifically to his face, "You'll be all right." So I watched season 3, and my part is played by another guy called something else, and he does everything I was going to do, and he dies. But I'm safe. I'm at Lallybrook. But I'm like, and people would say like, "Oh, would you miss the payday for the one episode to die?" And I says, "Well, if you offered me the death scene or the chance of coming back, I'd take the chance of coming back every time, wouldn't you?" So better not to be doing these things, you know. Kind
America now,
aye, that's it. And
They're
they're doing a kind of spin-off and all as well. So
Are they, aye?
There's a new spin-off getting filmed now, so I just I need to check my phone before we go. See the agents on the
I
floor.
just hope they fucking phone you back. I was like 3 seasons. I was like, where is he? Is he? Where'd they go?
I
Where'd they go?
knew you'd have been right into that.
Oh, brilliant.
Many seasons is.
Brilliant. It was on season 6 or 7.
Fucking hell, man.
But see what
Can I catch up with that?
if I give you an idea, there's much more to it than this, right? But if I was selling it to you, I'd say think Braveheart as a TV show.
Aye.
That's what I'd sell it to you.
Everybody said that you love it and that, and I think I'll probably try and watch it. But it's,
And that's the first 2 seasons, say, and then they go to America, they go to
Did you
France.
watch it before you went on to the show?
I'd never heard it. This was the wee story I was going to tell with Stephen Walters, right? So I got an audition through for it. You get audition through for shows and they mean nothing to you. You don't know, it just says the project, and sometimes it's a fake name. Some of the projects they're not telling you the right name. So got this thing through. It was Outlander, and it was the part of Angus, and it said like 6'5" hairy Highlander, right? So I'm thinking something like you, right? Big beard and all that, right? So I'm like, why am I going to do to London for this? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's clearly no me. I don't like this. So I go down. I did my monologue, and I'd done. I always like to try and put your own spin on the monologue, right? So I took wee words of it, like maybe there was a yes in it, and I'm thinking, it's probably an American that's wrote yes. They would say aye, right? So I've done all these wee bits where I've tweaked wee bits and all that stuff, and loads of you do that loads in addition to trying, because you don't want to come in and say the exact same things the guy before you, so you try and make it your own. So I got into this one in London, and the lassie's like, really good, Scott, brilliant. She's like, yeah, a couple of words you got wrong. If you just see what's in the script. Oh shit, I've learned it that way. Right? That wasn't a mistake. I said that. I've learned it that way. Right, on you go and do it again. She's like, a couple of, you just get the lines for me, please. I think she made me do it 6 times, right? I couldn't get, because I'd learned it, I'd storyboarded it, I'd put all this time into learning it a certain way, and I didn't get the part, right? And that was a part of Angus. Then we watched the show, right? So we're sitting watching the show, and Angus comes on. And it's Stephen Walters who got the part. Stephen Walters, I don't know, 5'4" or something like that. Tiny wee guy, right? He did have a beard, but he's a tiny wee guy. Brilliant actor. And what I learned for that was don't judge the character by the script, because what's obviously happened, Stephen told me, Stephen's wears false teeth, right? So in his audition, he says, I never ever take my teeth out for auditions or anything like that. But for that one, I took my teeth out. And he went into the audition. Now, you're supposed to read 1,700 characters, and this guy comes in who's brilliant, and he's no teeth, and you're like, wow, you're cast, definitely. So he got Angus, but that was a big lesson. And then I think it was a bit further down the line to get the casting through for Ross, and I read the brief. I was like, right, put a lot of work into this. Didn't make the mistakes I made the first time. Went in and I had loads of questions that I was looking at the politics. They're sitting around a fire. It's a campfire, and I was like, right, the politics of this scene. If he's saying that, why would I behave this way and say that way? Because of who they all are. And I went in the casting. The last there, Anna, she was the assistant to the main casting. I was like, I have a couple of questions. I just pushed recording the video. I didn't know, I had no idea. So I was like, cool. So I did it anyway, and I got the part. And then I turned up on set. I was a wee baby face. So you either need to have that, or you end up with this. There's no in between. Do you know what I mean? You're either bearded or non-bearded, and the baby faces like me, you'd be shaved. Not allowed it. No, that's it. But
you've not had a shave.
You've got this one here, I know.
I know.
42.
Biggest ears, I know.
But see,
Are you alright? What's this all about? You know, sitting there with like 3 noses. What's the deal?
No, that's obviously going to heed, isn't it?
be nice.
Where
Do
were
I
we?
start sharing videos?
Were you
Do I
not
start-
gutted with missing out on Angus, but see, once you'd watched it and you'd seen it?
once you've seen what I mean, Stephen was brilliant.
He done a brilliant job
I
on
think
that.
there's a bit I've got like, I watched something the other night. I don't know who it was. They were talking about being in your lane, right? I think it was Ryan Gosling. I think it was. There's a lane that you're typecast in and you're really good in, right? So like when I've done Billy and Tim, I got cast in Angel Sheriff, right? Working with Ken Loach.
Class.
And
that,
again, so
brilliant.
I was playing a Glaswegian, and then I got a movie part playing a Glaswegian kind of gang member stuff like that. Right, cool. I'm going right. I've grew up in that world. I can play that. I can tell that truthfully, that world. And then you got to go play Kajaki. So it's like a bigger gang. You know, you're the military now, right? So an organised kind of big gang. You know, it's like, there's a great line in Black watched the movie, and he says. They're just bullies, and says that's what you have an army for, right? So you get into there, you do that, and then you get the part of Ross. Now, what I liked about Ross was it wasn't a Glaswegian, and I liked the fact that he didn't want to go to war. Like all the other cat, like Billy, bravado in this prison cell. Well, I'll fight anybody. Kind of Clancy, antagonistic bully, and then Stu is a soldier. Do you know what I mean? Brave soldiers. And I like the idea that he didn't want to go. He was a blacksmith. He'd a trade. He was doing all right. You know what I mean? Blacksmith's a good trade back then. Got a good job. And that horrible thing of going, you have to go with the crowd. You have to. It's not a choice. So you get papped off your land. So I kind of like the idea of playing against you're going to need to be a bit brave here in the world that you're not really familiar with. I really like that. But no, to answer your question, I didn't sit there and watch Stephen and think that could have been me. I sat there and went, they got it right. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's sometimes you got to cast and you're going like, I'm happy to get this if I'm the right guy. See, what you don't want to be is in movies and you're the wrong guy for it. Because then you got a whole show reel of things where you're going, no, stop coming on like this. Everything you've mentioned so far, I'm very proud to be involved in them. I'm sure there's people out there and go like, God, I don't talk about that one. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Of course I would be in it. There's all things.
That's what I was going to say. Let's see when you're watching that back. How does it feel watching it back?
Can you watch yourself on the telly?
Aye, but you watch and criticise. Aye, but I think it's even if I listen to this back, I hear the Glaswegian accent. But like say, I think I was sharing the stories earlier on when I played Stu. Stu was Feast Bride and for Rutherglen, so there's an aspect of him going, we'll not be far off accent wise, and that was a big thing with Kajaki. I was really worried I'd get down to London and they'd be like, we don't understand the accent, you're going to have to neutralise it. And I was like, no, I wanted to be Stu's Glaswegian. I wanted his pal. It's really funny with something like that, right? We mentioned a little bit like Corporal Mark Wright. The responsibility of that role, that movie for me started with my first audience was Stu.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be Stu. Stu's going to every pub he goes to that somebody says, I seen Kajaki, I seen you, and he goes, nah, he fucked it. They got it wrong. That wasn't my story. That's shite. Right, that'd be the worst thing ever. So your first responsibility was Stu, and then your next responsibility was all the guys that were there that day. You want them to feel that that's representing their story, and then it's the regiment. Do you know what I mean? And then it's the military. Do you know what I mean? Then it's the army, and then it goes out, and eventually it gets to the critics. So it's a really funny movie because normally you want the critics to like the movie and get the good reviews. This was kind of the opposite. You know what I mean? All you were caring. I mean, if we get 5-star reviews and Stu thought it was a lot of shite, then you've not
it's because you had a face to the actual character. You had a person.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember watching the videos of kind of Stu on the on you know, because when you were researching it, he's done TV adverts and that stuff about it, and you're watching it, kind of watching his body language, watching his personality, and try to go, right, how can I take bits of that? One of the best stories I love Stu told me, this really encapsulated the dark humour of the military, was he said when he was lying in hospital, you know, he stood on a mine name that doesn't know. Stu stood on the second mine, and the real life story and in the movie, so he's in the hospital and his mates come up to see him, and they bring him an eye patch, a parrot, and a running magazine. He's just lost his leg by him a running magazine. He got him a parrot for his shoulder and an eye patch. You know, like stuff like that. When he shares these stories, you're like, right, you've got to remember, as much as these guys are, you got to respect them in terms of they're doing a role. You're putting them on a screen. You don't want to, immortalise somebody as a class idiot, but actually you've got to get that humour as well. You've got to get that they're human beings and they've got flaws like everybody else. Do you know what I mean? So
there's a lot of military films that get fucking Hollywooded, if you like, in it, and it goes away. That's what I said to you earlier. Watching Kajaki, I felt dusty and sandy watching it. It was like, no, it's not.
It was weird the first time you said it, it's weird the second time.
It's not eerie. It's just I don't know if it's because you've kind of been there, and I don't know. It felt. You still notice a film when you're watching it, but I'm a big fan of it, really am. And it's like, I don't know, it felt like, I don't know, it just felt dusty and sandy.
Here's a question for you, right? So like, obviously he's saying when he was watching the film he's feeling dusty and sandy, right? See, once you've done
it's a cream for that,
and you've kind of done the film and you've lived that story, see, after it all, how do you feel in your head? Do you sit and go, fuck, that's...
There was what's in the soul.
That could affect you or not. Do you know what I mean?
Huge. There was a moment. So how it happens is when as Stu, I lose the leg, right? So obviously, what they do is they dig a hole. Really, no great CGI. I put a sock on that looks like the end of the leg at my knee bit, and my actual leg's buried in the sand. Right, so it's in there. Then I'm lying there for 12 hours while they filmed it about you because he was lying in the flare. So you're filming that there, and there was days and I thought, fucking hell, man, this must have been hell. This must have been hell, lying here, getting sunburnt, getting ants and cockroaches and all these things all crawling air, that stuff, like going, Jesus Christ. And there was moments, thinking, going, God, I bet I just wish to be back home, to be anywhere but here in the moments.
Mad, innit? Because obviously you'd never be able to feel the way Stu felt, you know what I mean?
Well, I said,
but it's living.
I think I said to Stu one night, we're having a few beers and that kind of stuff, and says, like, nobody will know what the guys went through that day. I mean, you had to be there, but we recreated that for 6 weeks. That day, that day was recreated for 6 weeks. So we're as close a second as anybody will ever get to getting an understanding of what they went through.
Of course.
I mean, there was moments there when I was. There's days on set that are great where they go, you're not in the shot, and you're like, woohoo, I'm at the pool all day, right? And then the 5-star hotel in Jordan. And there's other days where it's like, oh no, your thigh's in it. Thigh? I've been lying in the buried up in the desert because my thigh's in the shot. So you're lying there, and what you're doing when you're in the shot of that is you're trying not to distract anybody, but you're just watching.
Yeah.
And you're watching magic happen. You're watching like David Elliott, Mark Stanley, there was stuff going on. They were portraying these guys and the heroics. You're sitting there going, jeez, I was bits of the movie I was sitting as Scott, just greeting as they filmed it, going, Jesus God, man, imagine this. Imagine. And these guys are just, they're conveying these emotions in this situation. But Stu and the guys were there. That was real. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of, and there was moments like, you got to remember, there's 22 young British soldiers all go to boot camp and all that stuff, and then we jet off and we're all movie stars and that stuff, right? We're living a dream, right? There's also the moments where you really, like, we're on set. Let's say again, the idea is. Some of the boys are more delicate than others, let's say. That's a polite way of saying it. So some people are saying, you know, kind of, I can't believe this bottle of water I've got, it's no cold, you know, because I've ran out of ice water, right?
What?
So that,
This is your shite.
That's you.
How's that mean? You don't even drink water.
That's you.
and there's maybe
My Evian didn't taste right. It was all dusty.
the guys would run in with an umbrella, right, after a scene to keep, because you're burning, do you know what I mean? You're sunburning there for 12 hours, so they'd run in and get an umbrella, you know, and maybe sometimes they have to run in and sometimes they're not to run in, and there's you're kind of waiting on a signal for somebody to go in. So if that person's forgot to give it, you don't go in, and there's an actor lying there going, I'm fucking burning, where's the umbrella, right? And like the military advisors that were there would take great pleasure in reminding us that we didn't have a fucking 5-star hotel, we didn't have ice water, we didn't have umbrellas, we were fucking here. Do you know what I mean? And that was a wee kind of moment of
the advisors must have been busy as well, because he, as an ex-military, trying to over critique like war films and stuff, you go, if they fire too many rounds, you go, you did.
But that's what I was meaning with this Hollywood thing. I kind of didn't feel it. There's a few that I think you can really connect with. Kajaki is one of them. It feels dead raw.
Dog soldiers.
Shut up.
See the one that I always think about Saving Private Ryan when they're storming the beach. I think that must be that must be surreal. See for like the guys actually acting that. And then, as you were saying, thinking, fucking hell, this actually fucking happened.
Because you must feel the buzz. It must go
fucking
through
get
your
you,
head that it's happened.
I don't know what you did in terms of training for mines, right? As part of your boot camp, they kind of showed you how you're doing with a knife and in between your fingers and that, right? So it was Tim was our military advisor, and he was chatting to me and he said, right, so this is what you're supposed to do. Shows you how you're supposed to do it. He says, I want you to imagine, know that your best mates are there, bleeding to death, dying, shouting your name. You still checking the minefield that way? You take 4 months to get to him. Do you know what I mean? So there was moments in there where like Stu basically walks the path to let everybody know it's safe. So that moment on set where deep breath and you're going, walking through a place that's got mines to show your pals that I've checked it. Right? And the thing about Stu stood on a mine, but what happened with Stu is he stood on a rock, and the rock, it was like one of the rocks where it looks like a flat rock, he stood on it and it went down, and when he went down he stood on the mine. So the amazing thing with that, and this is probably a wee bit of process here, was so when I met Stu, I went and interviewed Stu in his house, and he sat down and I said, so if you don't mind, I know it's really difficult, but tell me that moment, the explosion, that like, so what happens when you stand on that mine, right? And he's like, so walking along, he's like, you know, hitting your safe standing on a rock, that's a smart move, do you know what I mean? Standing on a rock, stood on a rock, and the rock went like that, and he hit the mine. He's like, I went up and went down, he says, and he said, my first thought was, for fuck's sake. Wasn't it? It was just like, fuck's sake, as if I'd just fucking knocked that beer. It wasn't a fuck's sake like my whole life. It was just for fuck's sake, I can't believe I've done that. And then he says the training kicked in. I got my morphine out and all. He's like, did everything. He's like, stuck it in my leg and that kind of stuff. Right? And I was kind of sitting going, my theatre mind kicks in and my movie mind kicks in. I'm going like, it's not going to be that great a scene if you do everything you're supposed to do. Ultimately, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm going, right, okay, but that's what the guy's telling me. No worries. Fast forward, a couple of weeks later, we've been doing bits and bobs. We're in the pub with all his mates, and they're saying, how are you getting on? I said, well, I've interviewed Stu and his house and that stuff, and I said, he told me that day, training kicked in, morphine and that stuff, and I'm like, Daddy, fuck! He was screaming for his mammy, fucking hell, and he told us all this stuff, and I'm like, he doesn't remember, he thinks he did all that, he didn't do it, and I went, well, that's good now that there's an artistic licence within that now, that I can take now, going, right, so if you watch the movie, I gave Stu his, for fuck's sake, like exactly as he told me, and then after that I was like, right, this is mine now. And the only way I thought, I mean, in the audition for it, they said, how do you think you would feel if, you're in a minefield and your mate's been blown up? I says, I've never been in a minefield, never had a mate blown up, but I have stood on a football pitch when the keeper's knee is back to front, and I know he's going to miss his work, and I know it's going to affect his wife and his wains and all that stuff. And I've stood there going, fucking hell. And there's another bit you going, fucking thank fuck it wasn't me. So it's all the bits. I said that's what I shared in the audition, and I thought, right, what do you do? How do you act? Do your legs being blown off? And I was looking up YouTube, IEDs and all that stuff, lifting it. Some people make no noise, some people make loads of noise, different things, right? And I thought back to sort of, have you ever had a punch in the nose, right? And you bust your nose and somebody comes in and says, let me see it. And you're like, fucking get away from me, right? I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play that nobody's treating me, right? So that's what I thought. And I didn't tell the other guys that. I thought, I'm not going to even let it on to them. I'm just going to see how they react to it. So in that scene, you'll see I go down and I'm like, can somebody get me some fucking morphine? And the guys come on, as soon as they touch me, they had to wrestle me to the ground. I was like, you're not putting that tourniquet on because I lose my leg, and I'm not letting you do anything to me. So get off me. And it took the two of them to hold me down until they knackered me out, and then they got to essentially do the scene they were going to do. But it looks amazing. Do you know what I mean? And I remember that day. So what they do is they got a big bed sheet essentially with all the dust on it. I'm already lying down. It's the bit of filming walking's been filmed the day before. It's now after the explosion when I'm landing, all the dust settling. So all they're doing, they throw all this dust up and it all lands in your mouth and all that stuff, right?
Told you.
That's what I mean. Comes through the speakers now.
That's the 3D version. The cinema with the disc coming down. And it goes up and they were like, right, action. And I was sort of, I played it. I was like, right, I'm going to play it. These guys need to wrestle me. And after the scene, it was the nicest thing in the world. Is after the scene, it got around the applause. And bear in mind, there's Oscar winners there. Do you know what I mean? There's some big people behind that camera. You get around the applause, and then I met Gareth Ellis-Inman, say he was Academy Award winner. So something happened. The movie was kind of delayed. So they were editing it in the hotel as we were filming it. So the daily rushes were coming through, and the editor was sitting making the movie while in the hotel. So you'd meet him for a pint in the bar. Do you know what I mean? They'd be saying, "Oh, your fucking scene's looking good," and all that stuff.
Class.
And I met Gareth in the corridor one night, and he said, "Just watch your scene, Scott." He's like, "Fucking so far." He's like, "It's the best scene in the movie so far." I was like, "Fucking brilliant." That's what you want to hear. And then I met Brian, that was the editor in the bar, and he's when I met Stu says cunt all the time, right? So the way he's saying it says every cunt's a cunt to some cunt sometimes, right? That's Stu. If you can get one in, it's in, right? So when I was reading the script, I knew there wasn't a lot in it, right? But some of the other guys had it. Like one of the guys said comedy tips for cunts, right? It's certain lines. So I was going to try to swap a line. Can I get your cunt and you can take a fuck for me, right? And nobody's want to give them up. And I said to him, I said I'm just going to throw in some. And he's like, don't, Scott. He's like, because they're trying to get the rating on the movie, they'll cut the scene. He's like, the rating of the movie is getting into the cinema. You can't go to you can't see at the cinema it'll be a 15 and you make an 18, right? So he's like, they will lose the scenes. So if you're going to do it, pick it in moments where you can afford to lose one of the takes, but don't do it in end because they can only have, I think it was 3. You're not allowed 3 in the movie or something like that. But you were in the bar at the weekends try to swap a cunt. Got to geese one of them. I'll buy you another beer. Geese on it.
That's class, man.
See if somebody was just tuning in there, that could have sounded quite bad. Keys in the bowl.
I don't know, this is giving me the bloke, mate, honestly.
Apologies to any Outlander fans watching, because that's not a word that I normally use.
Well, fast forward a wee bit, because this is something we were talking about this one way up, is a book that's coming out. Your book, we were listening into your wee kind of clip we got there, and is this, well obviously we discussed this before, it's something you wanted to do, is a book, is it about your life in general, or is it where you're going? Just to give people an insight of what's going to be happening.
The book's called It's Not Where You Start, right? And actually, going back to it's about that day not having an audition piece. That was the title, right? But it coincides with when I was younger. I was in foster care for maybe 9 months. It wasn't anything, kind of that terrible. Do you know what I mean? But it was traumatic as it would be for anybody, right? So there's a wee bit of that, and I think that you had a tough start as well. But actually, the title came for it was about the theatre. It was about going into an audition and not knowing what it was, and then having a theatre company and winning awards and being in movies and being in TVs. To say to anybody else, it's no way you start. You can start acting or drama or storytelling at any age. Do you know what I mean? Like and that's the mad thing with acting is it's not like football. You go into football, you know who's the best football players, right? So you go, well, he's got to do all right, or he's got to score the goals, whatever. In acting, you might just be sitting with somebody and they are the guy that they're looking for one day. And you just go in and go, that's the guy in the new TV show or movie. So everybody can get that shot. So it's not a case of, there's no a you're too fat, you're too ugly, or anything like that. There's roles for everybody. So you can get in the movies or TV shows and different things. But that the idea of the kind of book was I just kind of, that day I walked into the library and something spoke to me, right? It was a wee bit like, I'd love to be able to share a bit of my story, and if there's anything in my story or any of the stories I've told you as I know that somebody picks up as they're funny or it's inspirational or it's anything, then it's worth writing it. So about 5 years ago I started writing a book thinking I'll knock this out in 6 months. 5 years later, and the sort of thing I did, so through Billy and Tim, loads of things happened. But when I was younger, when I was 3, my dad took off and we never seen him, right, for 30 years. And when I won the stage best actor for Billy and Tim at the Edinburgh Festival in 2010, right? So I was a producer of the show. So it's like in the school band, you're casting yourself as the lead singer, right? So I cast myself in the play, right? So it was always massive kind of insecurities. Is am I any good, or did I just give myself the part? So when I won the stage best actor, it meant an awful lot to me that your peers, all the theatre people thought you were really good at that. That meant a lot to us. And we started putting my name on the poster. So it was starring award-winning actor Scott Kyle. And I got an email one day from a woman. She said, "My name's Leanne Phillips. Scott, you don't know me." She says, "I'm your wee sister." Right? My dad went away and had another family, so 3 wee sisters and a wee brother had never met. So they'd seen the poster for the show. And they were like, "I don't know how you'd feel about it, if you want to meet us or no," or whatever. I was like, "Absolutely want to meet us." It was before like social media and all that stuff. I was like, "I definitely want to meet us." So I was like, "I'm doing a play, come and see the play." So they come along, and by this time I've been doing Billy and Tim for 5 years, and we're at the SECC. So the opening chapter of the book is this, that we're at the SECC this night, and my family are in the audience. To give you a wee insight, at this time I've paid off my mum's mortgage, right? We've made enough money to do that, paid off our council tax debt, I've decorated our house, and the next bit of money that comes in, I'm going to go and get a house for me and my missus and set up life. And that was the night after the show. If we've done it 5 years, we're pretty good at it. Obviously, if you painted a picture for 5 years, you'd maybe win the art competition. Do you know what I mean? You'd be pretty good at it. So we'd done it for 5 years. So we got standing ovation, encore and stuff, and we take our bows, we come over to the back. At this point, I've got a big free bar up the stair, and all my family and friends are up there, my new family are up there, and I can't wait to go up and see them. And just want them to be proud of me. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm the side of the family that's maybe the secret or the quiet bit that nobody really knows about, and I'm like, I work for the scheme, but we're doing all right. Do you know what I mean? We're in the theatre and that, and we go up the stairs, and Des Dillon that wrote the play, he came up to me at the end of it and he said, "Look, Scott, what you've done, this show's incredible." I said, "So what I'm about to say, it's no personal." He's like, "But I'm taking the rights to the show, and I'm going to do the show myself." Right, so anybody that doesn't know, the performance rights to a show, you would sign a contract and get the performance rights. I was 21 when I left. I set up a business on the back of a fag packet. Didn't know anything about lawyers and legal stuff and contracts and that stuff. And ultimately, I didn't have a long-term contract in place for the rights. So when Des decided to take his play back, which is important, it was his play. I said he wrote it 12 years before I found it in the library. He decided to take the rights to his play back, and he wanted to do something himself. But that night, I lost my business. So it was huge. I mean, like that moment, I've gone, shit, everything's tied up in this play. I've got vans and sets and all this stuff for this play. All the money's all tied up in it. And everybody I'm about to go and meet thinks I've got a gravy train that's going to last forever. And at that moment, my business was, but I had to go upstairs and put on the best show of my life and performance of kidding everybody on, everyone's all right. And there was, you talk about mental health, that they were the moments in my life where... And to be honest, there was moments where when I had Billy and Tim flying at its heights, what I would do is, say if you come in, you're like, "Scott, man, doing the new work and whatever, I'd be like, if you want to come at me tomorrow, I'll give you 30 quid and a bag of leaflets." And I've got to put leaflets through the doors and green up, come down with us. And I had mates, my brother, if he was ever out of work, my uncle was out of work, everything could do, just leaflet, just go out and put leaflets, earphones in, leaflet every day. And that's how we filled all these theatres. So when I lost the show, I had no money. And I was asking people maybe to help me build the next thing, and I was too busy. Oh, I'd love to, I really can't, because I didn't have any money. I didn't have the money to help them. And I understand their point of view, but from my point of view, I was like, shit, this is... And I think it was my missus is like, I'll get a bag, Mum will go out. And I remember Castlemilk, remember like, it's the scene for a movie in my mind. I'm at one side of Castlemilk Road, and I go up a close, right? So the bottom of it, there's a burnt out rubbish, an upturned trolley. I go up, there's a dog fucking batting against the door as I put the leaflets through the door. The next one, I hear somebody batting hell out of somebody else, right? Needles and all that stuff, all this different. And I come out the close and I look across, and it's my childhood sweethearts there, right? and she's gorgeous and beautiful, and she's no for this world, and she gives me a wee wave, and she walks on to the next close, and I nearly fucking broke down bubbling, and I'm like, she's the only one that's here.
Yeah.
If when everything's gone, she's here. Do you know what I mean? So that like that sort of stuff's in the book, and the unintended consequences. Like when I paid off my dad's mortgage and stuff like that, I was expecting to earn more money, and me and my missus could go and set up. And when I didn't, looking back, starting to look going, well, she's maybe thinking, you spent all that money, gave all our future away, all that money was away. So on one hand, you've done a really, really nice thing, on the other hand, you're not realising the unintended consequences. You've kind of made your journey a bit tougher, and the partner that you've chose with you, his life a bit tougher, when unintentionally. Do you know what I mean? So
I think that gave you more determination, that kind of fire in your stomach to go further, though, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, after that, I got the Angel Share, and your first movie, you're away doing a Ken Loach movie. I mean, I don't know if anybody listening knows about Ken Loach, but Ken Loach did like Kes and Sweet 16 and all that. Phenomenal filmmaker,
Class.
legend in
Sweet 16
British cinema.
Aye.
And I got cast as the baddie in it. So when the agent phoned said to the baddie in the Ken Loach, I was thinking Heath Ledger and Batman. So I'm like, oh yes, brilliant. So that was a dream. And Ken Loach did a really nice thing is you don't get to see the scripts, right? So it's weird making a film you don't know anything about it. So you get into a scene you don't really know. He'll give you it before you go in, and then just go on you go. So you feel like you're making a movie with him. There's sometimes like Outlander was getting made and you were in it, right? We Angel Share. We're creating this scene together. We've got a rough idea. Let's see what you come up with, and all your creative minds all come out. A really great process. So I did well at that. But in terms of there was mental health moments and all that, and that's what I mean about the roller coaster of that moment of the peak of your powers. Looking at 3,000 people, wee boy for Glasgow, but not only is it just 3,000 people, the money. I've earned the money. I've got the money now. Do you know what I mean? Like and then to have a conversation lasting a few minutes, going, it's all fucked.
It's gone.
How much did you make it at box office that year?
Over $1 million over the course, I think, of the 5 years. But like the SEC was £50,000. And remember, that's sales. I mean, that's in sales. A lot of money has to go into market it, pay all the actors, get the set, do all the other stuff, and survive in between the shows as well. You know, it was a full-time job. So all that kind of stuff is stuff I want to put in the book, and that's the kind of book side. The other kind of side is being in foster care. You know, kind of growing up in Glasgow, gang culture. Like I was younger. I wasn't always in acting, right? But in school, we all did the show. Well, we did Cinderella at school, and I went in for buttons, didn't get it, right? So I was one of the chorus. Click my fingers with the chorus, right? But the guy that got the Prince Charming that everybody wanted was a guy called Craig Kelly, right? And Craig was in the school football team with me and all that stuff, so we grew up together. One day, I'm trying to think, maybe it was about 25. I was in a theatre van, and I passed by a bus stop, and I seen wee Tam Bennett, and Tam Bennett's like one of the boys playing the football team, but I hadn't seen him for years. So I thought, to Horn, where you going? Up the road. Jumped in it. While he was in the van, he got a phone call telling me that Craig had been murdered in Greenhill Court, and it was murdered by his mate. They were drinking in a drinking den, full of cider. There was an argument. There was a bit of a scrap, and the boy went in the kitchen, got a knife and stabbed Craig in the back, and he bled to death. And in the book, essentially, that chapter's called Prince Charming. So in the real life, in the stage world I create, Prince Charming gets the girl, or the girl gets Prince Charming, however you want to look at it, in the happily ever after. In the real world of Glasgow that I've grew up in, Prince Charming gets murdered in a fucking drinking den and round the corner from where you grew up. Do you know what I mean? And the thing was, you were with a childhood mate when you heard it. And I remember I went to Craig's funeral, and you're standing at a funeral, and one of the guys standing up and talking about school stuff. You're bawling your eyes out and going, how did this happen? I was in a football team at school 40s, they're all there. Do you know what I mean? Like, and Craig had a good man Dan. We grew up, his mum was doing her best, but we didn't have a dad out or anything. So we were the ones that's like, your ma's not in, and she should be. You know, she don't answer the door to anybody and all that kind of stuff. Craig had a good man Dan and stuff like that, and that was his outcome. So in the real life version of the book, Prince Charming is Disney and how you'd think it. So and they're all the stories you're thinking to try and share, and but equally, like, being to the BAFTAs. Be invited to go and meet the Queen, right? All the amazing moments. Been with Oscar winners, been on movie sets and TV shows and Comic Cons all around the world. And I go back to the 2 years working in the care sector of what a brilliant experience as well. Do you know what I mean? During the pandemic for me wasn't the bad experience. I was actually going, you know what? That was a big life lesson and a time in my life I really enjoyed. But the mental health journey of all the different things. Do you know what I mean? And that's only the tip of some of them in the book. There's other stories for the childhood where I got my head kicked in and none of my pals came back from me. And that was a big lesson, kind of like you talk about the Kajaki or the brotherhood, right? You sit and watching what the guys did for each other, right? Kind of above and beyond, do you know what I mean? Phenomenal. And I remember at 14 I got my heat kicked in and all my pals ran away and left us to get doing. And that's what I stopped hanging about with the guys. I'm like, right, I just go have house parties in my house then, invite some lassies, invite my girlfriend up and that and do that. So they're all stories in the book, but there's a real mental health journey through it. But I don't know when you grow up and care and that stuff that there's trauma there. You probably as an adult you don't even realise. But I think you go through so much at young, you become really resilient.
Aye.
So you were asking earlier on, I'm like, I don't know, and I also think it's like if there is anything, you try and put it in that back compartment, because I need to go on and earn the money, I need to go on and do the stuff I need to do. Do you know what I mean? So you put it in that box at the back. There's wee moments like maybe Christmas Day, you're sitting there and
Do you know what? See when you actually sit down and you just reflect. So see, like the quiet moments. That's the moments when that box opens up.
Aye.
That's the ones that you need to try and.
Can you shut your legs so I can see your balls?
No, you can't.
Aye, but do you not think there's two, see for the trauma that happens in your childhood, there's two types of people. You can either use it for your benefit and obviously you became a big massive success in your own right, or people kind of lie down to it and their life kind of pitters out to nothing, do you know what I mean?
But it comes in again, if you can be like, I looked at it and go, one of the roles I'm proud of is being the care worker. But I remember meeting somebody, I'll not say who they were, but I remember meeting them in the street and I felt that they were ashamed because I was Scott the movie star. What you doing that job for? And I'm going like, I'm enjoying myself. It's a brilliant job. So when I couldn't get it, it's like maybe in my mind I thought I'm not doing it for a wee while. I don't know, but I was like, what are you talking about? It's a great job. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's difficult, and as I said, I've got loads of mates. I've got a mate. Paul lives in a canal boat down in London, and that's he's doing that, so he's near the auditions and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But Paul sent me pictures 2 days ago. His boats, his house is floating down the river. So he came back, and the flooding's happening. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how did you get? He's like, I'm up to my waist, going to get my house. It's floating down the river, and I'm like, that's incredible determination and all. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some incredible stories, and I just think. My story, a wee boy from Glasgow, growing up and had a kind of single parent. It might not be any more magical than anybody else's, but I wanted to tell it.
Aye.
So that was the idea of writing the book. Going, I want to put it down.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes just to wrap this up. So when can we when's this book? When will we be able to get our hands on
Well,
this?
the thing about the book was I told you the opening chapter, and then you go through the life, and I was thinking, do I end it at the pandemic? Do I end up being a care worker? Do I end it when I did train spotting? Do I end it, and then the chance to go and do Billy and Tim came back, and I'm going, well, what a perfect ending, because now we're back, we've got a tour, we've got to London, we're playing the Pavilion in Glasgow, I think there's 50 dates, there's 3 countries,
and Ross is alive.
And Ross is still alive. So
it's
there's a wee cliffhanger. Hopefully that maybe Ross will come back in Outlander.
Ideal,
we'll see where Billy and Tim goes, and hopefully there's other jobs in the pipeline. But ultimately it's ending on a high, which is nice, because there's been times where the pandemic happens, you're going, would you end it there?
Exactly.
Christ, do you know what I mean? I was a movie star last week and now the world's shut down. Do you know what I mean? About the BAFTAs, Queen's Garden Party, Comic Con, doing alright.
You just getting news what
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing everything that's coming for you.
Aye.
And I'm going to get home, and I'm going to binge watch Outlander.
I think I'm on or
I think I'm invested.
I
in
think
it
I'm
now.
going to start it again. I think this is like my 4th time round, man. I'm fucking enjoyed it.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it.
I don't know you're proudest wank.
Mate, every wank's a good wank.
No, this has been absolutely brilliant, Scott. I mean, I'm a big fan of Kajaki, I really am, and it's fucking. I could probably listen to your stories all night. To be fair, mate, it's that one about Peter Check, man. I was there. I was there, but no, it's been absolutely brilliant. Normally we end this with some kind of message of mental health, but you just come across very positive, and I think you take that kind of aspect in life, and I think it's very refreshing. So I'm a big fan, mate. I really am. As I say, he's a really big fan of Kajaki. He really was, even though I did feel all sandy and dusty. But this has been absolutely brilliant. Ain't news what I had though.
No, I'm good. Just thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure listening to all your stories.
No, thank you very much for having me.
No,
thanks
you,
for listening.
No, it's
you need a good audience, as I know. First, I get booed on. It's not always the stories that always are the well received.
John gets booed everywhere he goes, man.
Yes.
A big shout out to Paul. We're back in the green room. If it wasn't for Paul, we wouldn't be here. So, cheers, big man.
Thank you very much, big man.
Cheers, mate.
Hats off to you, Paul.
But that's a nail in a fish. This has been fantastic. Thanks again, Scott. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, gents.
Thank you.